AITA for abandoning my family after my brother threatened to kill me. My brother's always had behavioral problems, and for the last 7 years he's been in and out of the house, ignoring simple rules like not drinking or doing drugs inside. He is doing terrible things to my family, and I can't bear to be around it anymore, so I am moving out and leaving him for my parents to find a solution for. This is long because I'm not good enough at writing to condense it any further, but I really just needed to type this out and put it somewhere. For background, my 22M family consists of my brother, 25M, my parents, 52M, 51F, and my cousin, I'll call her Amy, and her daughter are also currently displaced and living in the house. They don't matter much to the situation, but they certainly don't help. My brother, Ben, for anonymity, is an alcoholic, a pathological liar, and has had some issues with drugs in the past. He's had behavioral issues for as long as I can remember. Even as kids, our fights as brothers weren't a bit of play wrestling. It was fractures and bloody noses. At school, he would get into fights, get caught with various tobacco products, drugs, would bring bottles of soda half filled with vodka to class, mostly just rebellious teenager stuff that most thought he would grow out of. In line with that, he dropped out of high school at 18, and things have just been spiraling. For the sake of brevity, I won't list everything he's ever done, but I'll share his usual pattern of behavior that I've observed. He doesn't like to follow the very simple rules my parents laid out. Don't do drugs inside the house. Don't drink so much that you vomit and soil yourself on the kitchen floor. Work on getting your GED. Find and keep a job. He finds these rules much too constrictive, so eventually he will go stay with a girlfriend for a few months. We're not sure what he does during these months, but with no driver's license, no job, and no form of transportation, we assume it's drugs and alcohol while he sleeps on their couch. No real way of knowing because he ignores my parents' calls and texts while he's out doing this. Eventually, he either gets kicked out or can't live like this anymore. He loves that line, then begs my parents to let him come back. My parents, the angels they are, always let him back, trying to help him to get his GED, a job, his license, and transportation. He behaves for a few weeks, but my parents are eventually met with laziness, lies, and a slow descent back into his old behaviors, leading to the rules being enforced more, and Ben deciding to leave again, starting the cycle over. This was all fine and good with me because I decided not to get involved after the first couple of times. I had college, a job, and just a life in general to focus on. My parents were enabling him, in my opinion, but it was their house and their kid. The problem came recently. After 7 years of this, he had a pregnancy scare with his girlfriend, which nobody knows if she's actually pregnant or if it's actually his, because again, pathological liar, and we don't know how to contact this girl. At this point, he has run out of friends with couches to stay on, so he is here now, still refusing to change anything, acting like a teenager, stealing alcohol from my parents so much that they need to hide it. Cash has also come up missing, along with one of my dad's pistols that he left out to clean. When confronted, he just continues to lie. My dad got upset and started yelling at him. Ben's response was to go on our lawn and scream how he isn't a father to him, gonna beat his ass, and on from there. My dad decided to confront him, and they almost got in a fight before Amy broke them up, reminding them her daughter was there. Then there's me, just graduated college, have 2 jobs, spend a lot of time out of state, or stay with my girlfriend, mainly because I can't stand to know I'm in the same house as Ben. So I'm not there when all this stuff goes down. I have to hear about it from my mom when she comes to me and admits all this stuff, like they're scared of Ben. All this happening has been eating away at me, keeps me up at night, makes me physically sick to know my parents have to deal with this abuse, despite being such good people. The threat of killing me came one night when I was trying to sleep for work in the morning. Amy and Ben were both drinking. I assume that is where Ben is getting all his alcohol from after my parents hiding theirs. They starting yelling at each other over God knows what stupid drunk reason. I decided to confront my brother since they were keeping me up anyway. I knew the conversation wouldn't go anywhere as soon as I smelled his breath, but still continued. Tried to convey calmly that he is hurting everyone around him with his actions and is doing nothing to change. He made a bunch of the worst excuses I've ever heard, including he's too busy to get his GED because he has to cut both my parents' and grandfather's grass. It's 2 yards that take about 30 minutes and an hour, respectively. I know because I did both through college while he wasn't there, along with a lot more around the house. He also gets paid to do this by my parents. I ended up losing my calm and calling him whatever name I could think of. Along the lines of, you are an alcoholic, lying, stealing bum that is hurting the people I care most about. Nobody wants you here. You hurt everyone around you. I would call you nothing, but you are worse than that. If you were any kind of man, you would leave here tonight. And on from there. At this point, Amy entered, drunk, so I asked her to leave. To which my brother added on, "Don't worry, I won't kill him." "Kill me?" I asked. He backpedaled a bit, but admitted, "Yeah, if you come at me like this, I'll kill you." I convinced Amy to leave and asked if he was serious about killing his brother. He responded with the cliché, "Maybe not today or tomorrow, but I will kill you." All of this was relayed to my parents, who asked Ben to leave. That was weeks ago, and he's still there. So now I found a house to rent, and I am leaving at the end of the month. My brother caught wind of this, and apparently told my parents he thought I was running away from my family and not thinking about helping my parents when they need it. My dad had hip surgery 2 years ago, where I had to pick up a bunch of responsibilities around the house. He's fine and recovered now, so I don't really know what Ben is taking about, but I assume that's what he's referring to. There's a lot of things that make me uncomfortable with the solution I've come to of moving away. I've noticed that all of his outbursts and incidents happen whenever I'm not there. I'm not saying he's afraid of me, but out of anyone in the house, I'm the most likely to beat him in anything physical. So I'm afraid if I move away, I'm leaving a mentally unstable, dangerous person with my parents, just so I can avoid the situation. I don't know AITA for running away in this situation. Relevant comments. Commenter. While it may be understandable that your parents keep supporting their son, it is ultimately unhelpful and unhealthy. If your parents won't take responsibility and kick him out, what else can you do but leave? It sounds like elder abuse to me, which you can report to the police. The courts will probably put a restraining order against him to keep him away from them. This may be the best way to get him out of their house. Commenter. You aren't abandoning anyone. You're saving yourself. Unfortunately, mom and dad are enabling him. Everyone needs therapy. He most definitely needs rehab. I wouldn't care who it was. If they threatened my life, I sure as shit wouldn't hang around and give them the chance. I'm just joking. You fucking right. He's already a violent thief. Don't give him the opportunity. Always remember, a drunk man's words are a sober man's thoughts. Ends up being true more times than not. Story 2. My GF of 3 years cheated on me with a worse guy, and that makes me feel terrible. As the headline says, my GF of 3 years who I loved extremely much cheated on me. Her say is, we were having fight and had broken up. If we had, why was I kept oblivious of this? So she found someone in 2 months' time while I was hospitalized. I feel shitty because my backfire at her for the fight we had before my medical condition raised was him and his involvement level in her life, who she claimed as just friend. Worst part, he's way uglier, fails in exams, I'm among the top 3 rankers, a loner, and I am an extremely high achiever in general. We were great in bed too. I don't know where I failed. I feel shitty with the way she even told me this. I have been in some of her hardest times, unimaginable ones, and this is how it ends. Why do people have to be so reckless? All she needed was 2 months of my absence in her life to get together with a trashy person. Update 1. Peas. Talk to my mom. This would be complete closure when she knows about the bad doings of my partner. It's a sort of deal breaker to have my partner and mom not be on good terms for me. Got amazing advice, and that makes me feel better. I supported her during her bad times because that's the person I am, and she brought me enough happiness to that realization. My ex also made me realize how unconditionally I can love some, and made me believe in my ability to love. There were patterns of my ex's chronic depression upon my achievements, which she had spoken to my mom about. My mom told her that we should be happy in each other's achievements, but she could never be that. She'd distance herself for nearly 20 days after every result, reasoning something or else. And I shouldn't be with someone who cannot celebrate my achievements with, especially with a person with extremely dynamic life in international policy, philanthropy, and conservation. She deserves the person who can cater to her, want to dominate an all-time freedom, and I couldn't be that person because of my ambitions. It hurts, truly does, because I haven't ever loved someone more. I don't know how long I won't be able to. I don't feel burdened when I'm awake, because my logical brain functions then, but the moment I close my eyes, my chest gets filled with grief. And I guess I'll just have to deal with that for now. On a positive note, my mom says indeed my company made her ambitious, and the positive part I leave for her. It made me feel nice about me. Relevant comments. Commenter. Trash took itself out to the curb. Be glad. No contact and move forward. Commenter. Achievements don't entitle you to love, unfortunately. Find someone more in your level. I had a girl do this to me once. I actually felt sorry for her because the bloke was pure trash. It didn't make me jealous. It made me realize I could do better. Story 3. BAL is a pervert, and now my wife's family has shunned me for standing up for myself. I need some advice. My brother-in-law is a grade A pervert who used to go around openly grabbing men's crotches and touching them inappropriately, licking faces, slapping asses, etc. For years we were told, that's just Bill, and the entire family turned a blind eye, including my wife. When I tried to stand up for myself, I was belittled and treated like I was causing problems. My Phil has justified it as he wasn't being malicious, and that's what guys do, aka locker room behavior. Eventually it all came to a head, and during an argument my wife had me falsely arrested, then went on a PR campaign making me seem like a monster. She neglected to tell people that I walked away 3 times from the argument, and she followed me until my temper boiled over. I even called her mother to ask her to get her away from me to avoid it. Flash forward. I am now shunned from any family events, and the entire family treats me like an abuser. I don't tell my wife she can't see her family, but I obviously have major concerns about my 2 boys being around my Bill. Not only did he physically do what he did, he went out of his way to convince my wife that I was unstable and unfit to be a father, while he physically and emotionally abused his wife and adopted son. My wife sees no issue leaving me out to dry and being alone most holidays. My father-in-law's 70th birthday party was this past weekend, and I was literally the only person not invited. I told my wife that her friends would be there, and I could be civil, as I was not comfortable with my kids there. She basically lied and said it was only family and her dad's friends. Not true. Then she posted pictures on social media of her and all her friends, their husbands, and all the kids together. She hid the post from me and my closest friends. I found out when my brother asked me how the party was and said he saw the posts online. How would you handle this? My wife is never wrong, never admitted fault, and has essentially never apologized for her behaviors and throwing me under the bus. Her family simply wrote me off as if I didn't exist and still dote on my Bill like he's some awesome human being. I'm personally sick of being lied to and played for a fool. She will claim she blocked the post so I wouldn't get angry, which is a total gaslight. I honestly think I should just leave and move on with my life. I'm dreading the divorce and her family lying to make me lose custody of my kids. How do you deal with a family of full-fledged narcissists? Relevant comments? Commenter, how are you not already getting a divorce? OP, I worry that they will turn my kids against me and I'd never see them. Commenter, she is already turning everyone, including your kids, against you. If you can get your kids 50% of the time, then you have a chance at decent relationship. Get a divorce. That time with your wife and her family is over, and they will never side with you. Story 4. My wife decided to bring a girlfriend into our marriage, and I don't know what to do. My 40M wife, 36F, has worked with a woman, GF, 33F, for a few years. A little backstory. We've been together 12 years and married 10 years. I knew she was bi when we started dating, but in the 12 years we've been together, it's never really came up. My wife started joking that I need a second wife a few months ago, but I didn't think much of it, just laughed it off. My wife would make the jokes and send me screenshots of her and GF conversations, tell me I'm worth sharing, and basically sell GF on me. I want to preface this. I love my wife and very attracted to her. I typically don't even look twice at other women, as I don't care much. When I was younger, I had a specific type, physically, of woman I was attracted to, and my wife isn't it. That doesn't matter to me anymore, as I grew out of that phase of wanting only that one type of woman. As you can imagine, GF happens to be that specific type. Me and GF barely interacted directly, and I preferred it that way. My life is pretty much where I want it to be. Dogs, house, decent job, no kids, nothing against GF. I just knew it could end up being a situation that was going to end badly. Recently, GF and I started to text a lot more through the urging of my wife. Now, I've battled mental health issues most of my life. Turns out GF has had similar issues through hers. We've shared our traumas and experiences and have gotten a lot closer than I'm comfortable with. Interestingly, GF doesn't seem to be on board with the whole poly thing. I've seen the text messages between my wife and GF, and they talk about it often. My wife has gone into great detail, outlining my likes and dislikes in the bedroom, while GF talks about the things she can do while my wife watches. The way GF talks to me doesn't suggest any of that. GF and I have good conversations, but it doesn't cross into flirting or anything romantic. It's very confusing. I'm getting mixed signals. Now the big problem, I'm very attracted to GF. I wouldn't date her, but we would be very romantically compatible. But her personality is the gasoline to my fire. I know if I get more involved with GF, I'm going to end up breaking down. I have a very obsessive personality that I've worked very hard to overcome. GF is reversing all of that. I feel myself coming apart. I've explained this to my wife, but she really wants her best friend to be with me. She just thinks I'm overreacting, and that having another woman would be good for me. I realize this is a stupid thing to write about. I don't really have friends to talk to. I just needed to get this out of my head. Relevant comments. Commenter. Ask your wife what happens if you fall in love with the GF and decide to be monogamous. With her, what happens if she gets pregnant? OP. It's funny, that came up in conversation. Wife wants me to fall in love with her. As for the pregnancy thing, I had a vasectomy a few years ago after an illness. Commenter. So, your wife is okay if you fall in love with the GF and leave the wife? If so, leave now. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you liked our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Have a wonderful day.